So the Alberta real estate market seems to be really heating up these days. I don't have any on the ground experience myself in that area. I'm obviously not licensed out in Alberta. So today I'm joined by Amy Schmidt with EXP Realty for some on the ground info of what's happening out in Alberta, specifically in the Edmonton and Camrose area where she primarily operates. Okay, so Amy, thanks for joining me. I also watch your channel. I know you watch mine, and you told me your husband just watches it also, so that's awesome. Alberta's been crazy. The market's been crazy out there from what I've heard, so I want to get some on the ground info from a trustworthy realtor like yourself. And of course, I follow you and I like what you have to say out there, and it seems to be from the heart and trustworthy. So I figured, yeah, who better to have on here than yourself? Where are we at, or where are you at in the market out there, and what are you seeing lately on the ground?
Sure, yeah. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. Yeah, absolutely. We're big fans of your channel, and appreciate you following mine and giving me some helpful tips along the way as I get it rolling. Yeah, I guess, in comparison to the rest of the country, Alberta's definitely, you could say things have been flat. We didn't experience, home prices tripling like they did in some provinces or anything, super drastic like that. And I guess specifically the condo market, just, what you're hearing is absolutely true. For example, I had even a townhouse condo I listed about 3 years ago for a client. We listed it around the like two 290 mark, which we thought was reasonable for that time. Not a bite. She ended up just letting her son move into it and live in it so that it wasn't sitting empty.
Was that
A
sorry, was that
couple
a
of weeks.
townhouse or an apartment? Sorry, I missed it.
That one was a townhouse
Okay. Yeah.
condo. And then we listed it here, I don't know, about a month and a half ago. Went into multiple offers in a couple of days. Like we listed higher, and I felt like, we went probably about 10,000 over what the highest sale was in that complex. We're like, why not? Let's see what happens. And it sold over that. Since then, two
Wow.
others have listed, and they listed higher than what we sold for, and they went into multiple offers and sold. So it's really hard for us as listing agents here right now to kind of figure out pricing because, we're like, okay, normally we'll go back maybe 30 days, pull the comps, but right now it's just like,
Yeah.
definitely increasing. The apartments, yeah, definitely like, has been a stale market. But
Yeah, I'm looking
now
at
with
I'm looking at the chart here, and the median, I don't like using median, but it has the median prices here. And like, it looks like they declined, like the apartment prices, like over the years.
in some areas, yeah. Edmonton, it's actually picked up a bit. So, like for example, in April, the average price for an apartment condo is about 200,000. So the other thing with them is although the prices haven't increased, the days on market is decreasing. So
Yeah.
we're selling more of them. So sales are up, but yeah, not really much gain for anybody, unfortunately, as a seller, which is good news for the buyers because rent has been going up. It's
Just
really
like everywhere.
difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even if you can afford that rent, good luck finding a place.
And of course, the detached market must be really on fire, I'm guessing.
Yes, absolutely. And, a big driver of that is, the interprovincial migration. We're seeing tons of people from BC and Ontario. And, people, of course, there's Albertans still shuffling around and looking to, upgrade or downsize. A lot of people downsizing because if they bought within the last 5 years and their mortgage is up for renewal, they're in a little bit of panic mode, like, well, maybe we shouldn't have maxed out our budget back in 2019, and they're looking to sell while things are high and maybe downsize a bit. But the
That's
problem with that
interesting.
is,
Yeah, downside. We didn't see a lot of the downsizing in Ontario, but because it's hard to downsize. Like, what are you going to downsize into around here? But I guess in Alberta, there's options.
well, yeah, but it's getting harder because you can downsize, but the price of those homes is starting to creep up too. So you might, you get moving down to save a little bit.
Yeah, you said there's a lot of like interprovincial migration, people from Ontario and BC. And I would expect that because usually here, what happens is people move from the big cities and it's like drive till you qualify kind of thing. And now people are like flying till they qualify, it seems like, from Ontario to places like Alberta and Edmonton and even the East Coast. So I guess
Yeah.
you're seeing a lot of Ontario buyers out there in general.
Yeah, I'm even see I on the weekend just sold a house here outside of Camrose to some folks from your area. So, not to disclose too much information,
Yeah.
like I'm seeing a lot of people who spent about 300,000 on a home in Ontario like quite a few years ago. Now they're selling for about $1 million, and they're coming out here and they're buying a home about the same quality, maybe even a little bit newer or better, because our new builds are pretty affordable too. And they're coming out here and they're buying, anywhere from 400 to 500,000 or less, depending on what their criteria is. A lot of them don't even need a mortgage here. So my mortgage brokers that I work with are calling and they're like, "Hey, haven't heard from
Yeah.
you in a while. Haven't sent me any clients. What's going on? How can we help?" And I'm like, honestly, like people are coming here with cash.
It seems
That's
like
so
that. Yeah, it seems like that $400,000 to $500,000 price range anywhere. Like, of course, not in the big cities. You can't find anything for that. Well, maybe a
yeah,
small condo or something, apartment. But it seems like that is, yeah, like where people want to be. It's not. It doesn't matter where. It's more of a price point from what I can see. Because even in my region,
yeah.
they'll keep driving further to the remote areas or the smaller towns to get that price point because
Mhm.
it's not possible, I guess, in the other cities, right? One thing I wanted to ask and or find out about was the offer situation.
In the Edmonton area and Edmonton and surrounding area, we're definitely seeing multiple offers. I have a colleague that, they again listed on what they thought was the high side, and it was a six or $700,000 home, like an acreage, and it sold for 40,000 over. They had six or seven offers,
Hmm.
so that price range normally we don't see, takes a little bit longer to sell. Like you said, it's that 4 to 500,000 is the sweet spot for most buyers right now. But we're even seeing our higher price homes go into multiple offers, which is interesting. Um, Now the Camrose area, Camrose, for those who don't know, is about 90 kilometers southeast of Edmonton. So it is a city, but it's a small city, like 20,000 people.
Hmm.
And if you want to talk like steady market, it's like basically it's been flatlined here, like even during COVID, like a little blip, but no crazy increases. Days on market's pretty steady, like
Even right now.
nothing. It's extremely predictable. However, the last 2 months here, we're even seeing like stuff is selling the same week it gets listed, instead of 30 to 40 days, which has been the norm
Wow.
here. And we're seeing multiple offers. I have had clients from BC and Ontario come here and have to compete in the last couple of weeks. So that's really interesting because we're an hour from the Edmonton International Airport.
Hmm.
Camrose really has everything that anybody would need as far as amenities go. If you're a Costco member, you got to drive 45 minutes to an hour to that. But outside of that, everything's here. And there's a nice sense of community. And I find even in the suburbs outside of Edmonton, that's a big thing that's kind of driving our sales here is our prices and just, the people are so friendly. The people I had here last week from Ontario, all of them said, "Wow, we can't believe people are so friendly." What were you thinking? Like, what were you
Yeah.
expecting? I don't know. It's kind of interesting, but yeah, definitely
Maybe,
seeing multiple offers and going over.
maybe
So,
it's because
yeah,
the world's more angry these days. I just saw something about the angry scale or something on the news yesterday. Not that I watched the news, but it's some news clip, and
yeah.
yeah, there's a lot more angry people. With regards to offers, are they holding off? So in Ontario, we had this strategy where they're like holding off for a week, pricing it low, and it drives people insane. And of course, we have blind bidding on Ontario. They can, it's optional, but it's still mostly blind. So are you
Mhm.
seeing that strategy out there where people are setting an offer date and waiting, or is it just put it on the market and kind of see how it goes?
It's a really mixed bag of strategy here. So, yeah, we are seeing a lot of people like Thursday's the favorite day to list, and then you're not looking at offers until Sunday night or Monday. It's become pretty common strategy, and I mean, really, that's in the best interest of the seller because there's so many people that want to get in the door. If you don't
Hmm.
get in the first day, like you're missing out, right? So most sellers are like, yeah, no, I want everybody through the door that we can get through before I look at an offer. Whereas other people are like, no, like I'm leaving the country or I need this sold because my mortgage is up for renewal. I'm not going to be able to afford my new rate. Like, let's just get it sold. So really just depends on kind of what situation our sellers are in, but it's definitely become um a more common strategy here to do that holding off, whereas before that was more of an Ontario thing, or that
Yes,
was happening in BC quite a bit.
I was gonna
So,
say that. So
but
like, yeah, this like previously in years previous, you didn't see that, I'm guessing, out there, did you? So, and
not
this
not really.
and
Yeah.
it's what happened. It's like the virus, right? It started in the
Yeah.
big cities. And I
Hmm.
remember I was working with a client. I usually don't go out of Niagara, but I did. It was a friend, and I was working in Mississauga. And this started, I think it was 2016 or so. And these people were waiting on offers, right? And then a year later, it came to Niagara region. It's weird because it's always been available, but the thing with that strategy is you think like it's when to use it and when not to use it, right? So it comes and
Yeah.
goes. In Niagara, it didn't come back this year. Like 'cause some people tried it, but it didn't come back because when it fails miserably, right? That
I was
strategy.
just gonna say that. Yeah, like when it works well, but
Yeah.
the problem with using it right now in our region, I think, is that we're having these people fly in on house hunting trips and they only have so many days. So, if you land on a Thursday and you look at a house that just got listed today and you have to wait till Monday to find out if your offer wins or not, it's like, okay, well, we leave on Tuesday. We need to buy a house while we're here. So I think sellers are missing out on some of those buyers because they're on a time crunch.
How about with affordability? Of course, affordability is an issue everywhere in Canada, but do you see like the locals, or are they getting like priced out from these out of towners at this point? Because
in
I guess
in
I don't
some
know what the
cases.
average, yeah, I don't know what the average wage is in Edmonton, but I could see that
Yeah.
happening if outside money is coming from bigger cities, wealthier, or more net worth, that it's going to happen. So,
Yeah, we're definitely seeing a little bit of that. And I mean, locals like, my kids are 22 and 25. One rents, the older one's still at home. And she makes an okay wage for Alberta, but if she were to, I mean, she could easily go rent on her own, but if
mhm.
she were to buy, like it would be tough. I think the thing that is, I don't want to say the locals are getting priced out, but they're losing out when it comes to a multiple offer competing with someone who's coming from another province generally has cash.
Mhm.
So that's kind of the big thing I'm seeing. And even my buyers who are coming from out of province, I'm telling them like, okay, it's multiple offers. You don't necessarily have to like pay more. You're paying cash. Your offer looks better because it's more of a sure thing than Johnny down the street who wants to upgrade into this bungalow, right? So kind of a combination, like a priced out outpriced a little bit, but I think that those, nicer looking offers with fewer conditions from people coming from away are are the big winner for people
Yeah,
here, right?
as long as they're legit, and this is what
Yeah.
I pitched for when my buyers are competing, and also to the sellers. I let them know like just because somebody comes with no conditions doesn't mean that they truly don't have a condition, because you know what, the appraiser shows up a week before closing many of those times. So it's like,
Yes.
how do you qualify them? And that's the problem. Like, I liked conditions are good because you know everything's taken care of. Unless it
Hmm.
truly is a cash offer, right? Because you know, the agents, oh, we got a cash offer. Well, what does that mean? Is it really cash, or there's no condition? And it's usually no
True.
condition, right? But again, if they're coming
Yeah.
from Ontario to there, I could see that. Now, do you see many speculators or investors or hear about them, especially with I don't know if you deal with pre-construction. I've never really dealt with pre-construction, but you hear the stories. Are you seeing these? I know in Calgary there is, but in the Edmonton area, is there a lot of investors or speculators or whatever you want to call them?
Yes, I don't really do much, well, any work really with investors, but I know I have a lot of colleagues who do, uh part of a couple social media groups just because I like to see what's going on, dealing with investors coming to Edmonton. And I think that there's a little bit of a shift from the Calgary area to Edmonton because, you know, Alberta is more affordable than all these other provinces, but once you get here, Edmonton's more affordable. So, you might be able to pick up two condo apartments for, well, probably not for the price of one in Calgary, but you know what I mean? Your dollar's going to go a lot further. So,
Yeah,
we're seeing a little bit of investor shift north, and we're even seeing people from who live in Calgary or outskirts of Calgary, like Airdrie, the suburb area just north of Calgary, it's gotten like it's grown and it's gotten super expensive compared to, say, St. Albert or Spruce Grove outside of Edmonton, right? So
mhm.
Calgary's a prettier city. Probably shouldn't say that, but Edmonton's definitely more affordable. So yeah, we're seeing the investors kind of take note of that as well. But like I say, I pretty much leave that department to my colleagues, really my area. I like to deal with, families moving here for fresh start opportunity, that kind of thing. It's more my
Yeah,
client base.
I'm in the same boat, and this is why I'm always speaking out about investors and speculators. And while the families are, kind of moving and driving or flying till they qualify, the investors are just going on to ruin the next city, I call it. And it's unfortunate because, again,
Yeah,
investors have their place, and I have no problem with investors, but it's the speculative investing where they just, okay, Calgary's out of the question. Let's go to Edmonton now. Now where? Where are they going to go next? To
I
Nunavut or
know.
something? Like they probably don't have anywhere to go after. Because even in the out east too, there's been a lot of in Nova Scotia. I've heard a lot of speculative investing recently too. So they just keep going until there's nothing left, right? But eventually they'll learn that there's not hundreds of thousands of dollars to be made in Edmonton because and
Yeah,
if there is, or it'll be a long-term investment because it'll be dead for a decade in a couple of years from now. Anyway, we'll see what
exactly.
happens. So yeah, you mainly work in Edmonton and Camrose. You live in Camrose, but of course work the Edmonton area because it's such a big area, right?
Well, not just that it's a big area. A lot of my clients are repeat clients. My referrals are amazing. So I used to live in that area. I get into real estate about just a little over 6 years ago. Started in Spruce Grove, which is just west of Edmonton. Then I moved to St. Albert, which is just north. We move around a lot. My husband and I, we get bored. We renovate the house and we're like, oh, let's try this area out. We were in Sherwood Park for a little while. That's on the east side of Edmonton. So we've kind of lived all over. And then, for those who are, looking at a map, and looking to stretch their dollar, which is what we were doing, we were like, why not Camrose? It's only an hour outside of Edmonton, so I can still do, not a terrible commute. And we also, we probably saved 50 to 100,000 on our house
Yeah.
compared, like if we took the house we're in and we plunked it anywhere in Edmonton or surrounding area, we would be paying for sure 100,000 more. So, lower crime, nice sense of community. So I love both areas. So yeah, I continue to work in both. So
And you meet my criteria, by the way. I didn't even know because I didn't ask you how long you've been in the business. It's kind of rude sometimes to ask people unless I'm like researching for a referral. But it's like you can't be too new, which again, usually less than 3 years, maybe you might fit into that category.
yeah.
You can't be like the top agent or claiming to be the top agent, which I haven't seen any of your propaganda claiming that. So that's good because you're too busy then to deal with people properly. And I try to avoid teams because then the clients I feel become numbers. But
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't, whatever. I'm not too against a team, but I don't think you're on a team, are you?
No, I'm not. And I'm honestly like I'm kind of like a small scale. Like it's funny, you attend all these real estate coaching events and listen to these speakers and they're all the hype is all about scaling your business. And I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
I don't, it's not really my thing. I own 8 lock boxes and signs. Like I only take on what I can handle myself.
Yep.
My husband's a big help. He does my signs and my photography and that
Nice.
stuff.
All
But
in house. I'm the
uh,
same way. All in house. I do it, and I'm not saying it's bad if you can't do it in house, but it's so much better, I think. So
well, you just have a lot more flexibility, right? Like I don't have to schedule a photographer and work around that. I can just like tell my husband, hey,
yeah,
Tuesday we have a listing and he's got a sign in the truck and the camera and the drone ready to go. And
it's
my
awesome.
daughter, she works full time, but she does live at home. And so the trade-off for us not charging her rent is if I have a crazy busy weekend, she's tagging along with me to either drive or take notes in the car in between showings and stuff like that. So pretty small scale. I don't have an assistant. And I don't know if that, some people would say that's a bad thing. Maybe it is because I'm a control freak and I like things done a certain way. I don't know. But I just like, well, I guess my big message to anyone who's like considering working with me or referring to me at all is what you see is what you get, and you get like 100% me. I got into real estate to be the agent that I never had,
Yeah,
had some not so great experiences. And I was like, it doesn't have to be like that. I can do better.
that's awesome. Yeah,
So,
that's
you
cool.
know,
I saw your videos, and that's why I was like, I could deal with you because again, a lot of and it seems to be the bigger city agents, but they're so aggressive and they like have something to prove, and
yeah,
even in my city, some of them too, right? But I like just that down to earth, you know, whatever, like neighborly real estate agent, right? This is how we used to be.
yeah,
We're not the big
yeah,
investment analysts that are going to sell you an investment and everyone's going to be rich. You're like, no, we want families. We want families to move into homes and be happy. And
exactly. And I just, I'm not, I feel like in our industry, there's a lot of pressure to be, the best, the busiest, have the biggest team, make the most money, drive the nicest car. That's just not my personality.
mhm.
So yeah, I like to kind of keep it real. I'm just the girl next door, and I don't memorize every stat or, detail, but I know enough
Not like
that
me.
I'm gonna make sure
Yeah.
you don't get ripped off and that we find you what you want for a decent price. And
Yeah.
I'm also a bargain hunter, so I sometimes I put that into my work a little too much. I'm like, no, you can't buy this house. It's
Oh
too
yeah.
expensive or whatever. But
Well, I've seen
yeah,
the
it's just
opposite in the recent years. They're like, "Pay 50,000. You want this house?" It's like the opposite of bargain hunters. And no, it's mortgages cost a lot, and interest rates are. I can't say they're high because really they're not high, but they're high enough based
they're
on the
not that
debt
bad.
loads. Yeah, and it's I think you need to do that to hunt for the bargains for people. And I think that's why a lot of people call me too because they know I'm not going to oversell them on something and that I'm going to
Yeah,
do the numbers and say, look, it's worth this, right? Sometimes
yes,
I say people have to
exactly.
convince me to buy the house, right?
Yeah,
Right.
same. Yeah,
Well, because
I
people
get it.
convince themselves, right? They'll say, "Well, this is what we need a bigger house. We need this." And your agent shouldn't be enabling you like a drug dealer, right? They should be, "Okay, let's talk about this. Do you really need this, or why do you want this, or don't go that
Hmm.
much higher. You'll find another house. Like, don't overpay for this one."
Yeah, like just because the bank says you can borrow $800,000 doesn't mean you need to buy an $800,000 house.
Hmm.
And I see so many, maybe not this year, but like over the last few years, so many first-time home buyers spending $500,000 on their first home, which in your area, maybe that's the north. That might not sound like a lot,
Yeah,
but here
yeah.
it's a lot. I'm
Well,
like, you could buy a nice house for 350.
yeah,
Like, why would you spend it all?
it wasn't like that. And it wasn't that long ago. It was, yeah, 300,000 to buy a nice first time buyer home. But yeah, this is
Yeah.
where the market's gone. And I always like to tell people this is not normal. Like, I guess if you
Oh,
made $200,000 a year each family, which we don't in Canada, in the big cities, yeah,
no.
okay, that a lot of people do or most people do, but Yeah, this is not
Mhm.
normal. And but again, it's certain people that have pushed this and tried to normalize it. So, Amy, how do people find you if they're looking to move to Camrose or Edmonton?
You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Amy Schmidt Sells. I have a YouTube channel under that as well. They can give me a call, 780-243-8346. Call, text me anytime. I work 7 days a week around the clock because I don't have an assistant. Sell me, but I will, treat every client as if they were my only client. And I, yeah, can't wait to work with you guys.